Hello, I'm Roberta Winters, President of the League of Women Voters of Radnor Township. As you may know, the League is open to any person who wishes to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in government. And we also act on selected governmental issues. For the past several years, there has been no charge for students who are interested in joining the League of Women, and that goes all the way through graduate school. So this has provided a wonderful opportunity for us to involve people of younger ages into our organization. The League also has had internship opportunities for students through the summer months. Also, the Radnor Board of Health also has had internship opportunities for students, and the League is delighted to have been the recipient of 2 of these young women this year who have worked with the Board of Health. And one of their choices as members of the Board of Health in Radnor Township was to study an issue near and dear to their heart, and that was the issue of student stress. So first of all, I have with me today Angelica Chuan. She has served as our student recruitment effort for the Radnor Township League of Women Voters, as we have sought to encourage youth voter registration at the high school. And next I have with me Leah Monte, who, with Angelica, interned with the Radnor Board of Health. They are a wonderful team, and I'm sure you'll see that as we talk further today. Leah, would you tell the audience about how you happen to work with the League and also with the Board of Health specifically on this topic which you explored with them?
Yeah, so basically, one of our tasks during our internship with the Board of Health was to do an internship about a topic of our choosing, and Angelica and I decided to research adolescent stress with an emphasis on stress management techniques. Mental health is often something that's overlooked, even though it's gaining more awareness now, but it still needs a lot of more information about. And it's important that students are healthy in all areas of their life. Especially now, there's a lot of studies going on in Radnor Township specifically about student wellness, and changes are being more so made to the infrastructure internally. A great example of that is the change in school start time. However, Angelica and I realized that stress is always going to be a part of our lives, and that we can't always change what's causing our stress, but rather we need to be able to react to that stress in a positive way. So we basically decided to study stress and then focus on management techniques to get out to the student population so they know how to better handle their stress.
Thanks a lot, Leah. Angelica, how'd you go about getting any information about the topic of adolescent stress?
Wait, I think you skipped the other question.
Okay, well, I think, can you just tell us then, in addition to how you happened to get the information about that, how you got interested in this topic?
Yeah, Leah and I, through our research, when we first started researching stress, we learned that it was a big part of your daily life and that it's important to manage it. And we also learned that everyone is put through stressful moments, as Leah said, for various reasons. And it's important to balance it with your life in order to take care of your emotional health. And then we also thought it was important because learning to manage stress allows you to take care of yourself both physically and mentally so you can avoid certain risk behaviors.
That's great. Thanks. Now I'm going to go back to where I should have been. Leah, how'd you go back getting information about that topic?
So our basic research began with reading newspaper and magazine articles about adolescent stress in general. And many of these articles happen to mention one national study, which was the Stress in America study, which was conducted by the American Psychiatry Association in 2013. So we used that as one of our primary sources, given that it was common among most of the articles. And additionally, we spoke to Dr. James Kearney, who is the lead supervisor on the Radnor Township Student Wellness Study, which began, I think, in 2018 and has been ongoing since. And the wellness study contains information about all aspects of RTSD, but Angelica and I mainly focused on the student survey section, which spoke about stress, mental health, and drug use.
there anything you want to add to that, Angelica?
Yeah, so originally we ran into a couple of challenges. So at first we were planning to do a survey for Radnor students. Unfortunately, we were unable to do that because of parental consent and etc. So we decided, as Leah mentioned, to use data that was already collected through surveys on stress. And we also shifted our focus to providing resources and techniques, as Leah said earlier, that students can help students manage their stress. And although we weren't able to conduct our own survey, we found a lot of valuable information on the internet and through our TSD's wellness survey.
Well, I think one of the things you've learned as interns is sometimes you have to be flexible and sort of shift as the current takes you. So now that you've shared some of those challenges, I'm eager to find out, what exactly did you find out?
So let's start with the basics on stress. According to the Cleveland Clinic, stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or response. There's two main categories of stress: healthy stress or eustress, and then unhealthy stress or distress. Angelica and I mainly focused on researching the negative effects of distress on teens' physical, mental, and social health. And just some overall stats to start off our discussion. According to the Stress in America survey, in the Stress in America study, adults and teens were asked to rate their stress on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest. Teens reported an average of 5.8, while adults reported an average of 5.1. The study also noted that healthy levels of stress for teens is a 3.9. So not only are teens more stressed than adults, but that level of stress is way above the healthy level. And lastly, the study showed that 34% of these teens reported that they believed their stress levels would rise.
Just what causes all that stress, Angelica? Kids in Radnor should be happy, but they're stressed. What's going on?
So to look specifically at Radnor, we focused on the wellness study that was conducted, and that the wellness study found the biggest factors of stress to be school, which 32% of students said that was their biggest stressor. And some of the other big causes were homework, tests, grades, college, and worries about your future. And we also looked at other research done by various organizations, including the American Psychological Association. And we found that some of the more common sources of stress have to do with social pressure, such as peer pressure, body image, friendships, lack of sleep, major life incidents, and family issues. These are main factors that cause stress in students. And it can be seen here that a large amount of student stress can be attributed to academic pressures and social relations. But sometimes many of these things are out of your control, so it's important to focus on what you can control.
I hear a lot about homework, Leah. Did you find that homework was a big factor in stressing out kids?
Yes, as Angelica mentioned in the from the Radnor Wellness Study, RHS students were most stressed about school-related topics, with homework being one of them. Additionally, the survey showed that a majority of Radnor High School students spent over an hour and a half on their homework daily, with up to 15% of those surveyed spending almost 4 hours on their homework every night. And this shows that not only are students stressed by their homework, but it's also eating up a lot of their time outside the classroom and prohibiting them from doing things that they'd really like to do. When RHS students were asked how often they feel stressed about schoolwork, 42% they said they always feel stressed, and 37% said they often feel stressed. And based on this data specifically, as well as some information from our other sources, Angelica and I have concluded that school and school-related things such as homework is one of the greatest stresses for teens today.
Well, that should be something that everyone should know about. And I'm sure this homework stress is not just, in their head. Does it affect your bodies too, Angelica? Does stress impact how you're feeling?
Yeah, so stress, we learned that it has like a physical component and a mental component. So the physical component, to study that, we started off with the health triangle, which includes physical health, emotional health, and social health. And we found that the body's reaction to stress can be, it can include, the most common ones include headaches, insomnia, rapid breathing, stomach ache, and tense muscles. And on the other hand, some of the more emotional responses include anger, nervousness, the feeling of being overwhelmed, restlessness, lack of motivation, and sadness. So, whether physical or emotional, these responses can affect daily life. So, it's important to try to manage them. And you can do this by talking to a trusted friend or adult. So, since there's so many side effects that stress causes, Leah and I saw that it was important to learn how to manage it and look at certain techniques that can be helpful to you.
Is that when you looked also at some of the behavioral components of that, Leah?
Yes, there's a lot of behavioral and or mental and emotional components related to stress. Teens experience all sorts of emotions when dealing with stress, including anger, nervousness, feeling overwhelmed, restlessness, lack of motivation, sadness, and so many more that like the list would go on forever. So in our findings, many studies showed that these feelings of uncomfortableness or uncomfortableness that have been increasing over the past few decades. Personally, I found a quote from Dr. Daniel Keating to be very eye-opening about emotional reactions to stress. Keating said that depression, anxiety, and feeling overwhelmed are not all the same thing, but they do share a common feature: experiencing a level of stress that is beyond an ability to cope. And I really feel like that quote goes back to the purpose for our research, which is to give students a way to manage their stress so that they feel like they're in control and rather uncomfortable with their stress.
So basically, Angelica's told us I could get sick to my stomach, I could get bad headaches, and you're saying I'm really going to feel awful mentally. I'm sort of like out of it. And so, are there behavioral connections as well related to stress? And like, could I look at you, Angelica or Leah, and figure out if you're stressed by the way you're acting?
Yeah. So a lot of the times, there are 3 observed stages to stress, and it first begins with stress, which a big component of it leads into antisocial behaviors. This is one of the most noticeable responses to stress. And this behavioral reaction of being antisocial can cause people to withdraw from their surroundings and minimalize interaction with others. And we learned that this can be especially risky as this can lead to other behaviors that can affect your health, such as over or under eating, recklessness, or an increase in screen time and even drug usage. These can all negatively impact your health. So trying to find the cause of your stress and managing it is really important.
From what you've said today, ladies, it seems to me like there's a lot of bad results when you're overstressed. And a lot of the students in Radnor are probably experiencing some of the things you've talked about because of the pressures they feel on them in their daily life. So I can understand why you probably felt, well, I just can't deal with stress now. I got to help people understand what they can do about this. So is there anything at all, Leah, that we can do to help people who are feeling stressed out? I know a lot of adults with this COVID-19 feel stressed. Maybe we need to listen.
Yes. So in order to relieve stress and discomfort, teens or really anyone in general has to use positive coping strategies to do so. Teens, however, most of the time use negative coping strategies, which often lead to more stress. One of the best coping strategies is cognitive reconstruction, which mainly focuses on changing negative perceptions internally into positive ones. This technique centers around the ability to remove toxic thoughts and to choose new thoughts. Some additional positive coping strategies are reducing harmful environment conditions, tolerating and adjusting to negative events, and maintaining a positive self-image, relationships with others, and emotional equilibrium.
So those are this cognitive reconstruction is to, help get your mind onto another place. Is there some other things that kids can do when they're stressed? Is there places they can go to get help, Angelica?
Yeah. So one of the most important things to do if you're stressed is to talk to someone. Some recommendations are talking to a trusted adult, guidance counselor, doctor, or a therapist. Talking to an adult in your life can help you relieve some of your feelings and get things off your mind. and as well as finding the causes of your stress. And if you feel the need for additional support, there are also a few online resources that can connect you with a specialist. The American Psychological Association offers free information, and they can connect you with referral specialists in your area. You can also call their toll-free number and visit their website for information. Another really similar resource is called the National Mental Health Association, and you can also connect with a specialist here and one at your local mental health association. The first step is to talk to someone because it helps you find your causes of stress and identify specific symptoms and brainstorm stress management techniques.
So people shouldn't feel overwhelmed. There are places they can go to get help. Whether you're my age or whether you're your age, talking to people, finding resources is a great way to do it. So if you, Leah, had a friend who was having trouble dealing with the physical issues of stress, they were feeling sick, had a lot of headaches, didn't want to go to school or something like that, what might you suggest they do, Leah?
I would recommend that they really focus on maintaining a healthy lifestyle and taking time to relax during their day. Some things to think about when maintaining a healthy lifestyle are exercising routinely, having a balanced diet, and getting enough sleep. And it's really important to take downtime to just mentally rest and also physically rest. And some relaxing activities could be listening to music or spending time on your favorite hobbies, reading, watching TV, or even attending religious services. I also recommend, like Angelika said, talking to a trusted adult, because if you talk to a parent or a doctor or a guidance counselor or really anyone, they could help get you help for your physical responses to stress. And lastly, I recommend staying organized really helps you kind of process your stress and takes away some of the physical reactions. So either making a to-do list or planning out your schedule will help as well.
Thank you so much, Leah. Now, based on what I've heard today, I realize that there's some of the stress that you've had that are related can be sometimes turned into things like mental and emotional challenges. And if you saw someone at school dealing with all these challenges, Angelika, what might you suggest they do?
One of the main things is cognitive reconstruction, which Leah talked about. Basically, clearing your mind of negative thoughts will allow you to handle situations effectively and also help you relieving stress and have a more positive outlook. The next technique that we also talked about was talking with others, which can help you find the root causes of your stress. And one of the other things that Leah and I found out was setting smaller goals can be really helpful. And this can relieve feelings of overwhelmness, especially in high school and college age students. And often setting bigger goals can cause a lot of stress, and setting smaller ones leading up to a bigger one can help you in the long run. And the next technique that we found was focusing on what you can control. Often things that are not in your control can affect us and cause you stress, but focusing on what you can control can alleviate your stress and help control the stressors in your life. And the next technique that we found was allotting proper breaks. And this was another important technique. And basically it's easy to overwork yourself, and giving yourself breaks can refresh your mind. And the last thing that we saw was visualization and adjusting your idea of perception. Using visualization and your mental imagery can get you to a relaxed state of mind. And overall, both physical and mental stress management techniques can help you relax and relieve your stress.
Well, ladies, I'd like to thank both of you, because I've certainly learned a lot about the kind of stresses that high school students in Radnor are experiencing, but also the ones that we as adults experience. So we need to know that sometimes we just need to think more positively about things, break down big things into smaller things, get help when we need to get help, and hopefully realize that there are some things we can control, like maybe whether we want to eat junk food or fresh fruit, or maybe, go for a walk or go for a bike ride. But there are some things like a pandemic that we have no control over. And so we just need to move on. Perhaps do some physical exercise, take a break, do the things we need to do to stay healthy. Now, we also know that there are many issues like homework and friends and getting into college that weigh on you as young people. And sometimes those concerns feel overwhelming and have negative consequences on our body and how we act, and even emotionally, whether we're crying or yelling at other people. The good news that you shared is there are ways to cope with stress, and that really help. And I hope those who watch this program will be able to apply what you've shared with them today and actually make a difference, because I know as the Board of Health interns, you know what a difference it is that good health can make. We trust the Board of Health as well as the members of our audience are grateful to both your efforts, Leah and Angelica, in educating the public on this important topic. The League of Women Voters of Radnor Township has, for more than a century, not only been concerned about what people vote and with how they vote, when they vote, and how good government works, but also about informing them on critical issues of importance to the public. And certainly, stress is one of those issues. And some of these issues have become a topic of study for the League, like sleep deprivation, as one of those topics that I know you realize impacts your stress and has resulted in changing policies at both the Radnor level and also in other places throughout the Commonwealth. So now, on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Radnor Township, I want to express our gratitude to Mainline TV for their continuing support in helping us share the work of Radnor students and our interns. We hope you will be inspired by their efforts and get involved in local issues through serving on the Radnor Township Board and committees like Leah and Angelica did. There are usually vacancies where you can apply and be reviewed for consideration. Now is the time for you to think about running for office too. You can watch the local meetings, consider your interests and strengths, and check out the school district and township websites and talk to those who have served. We want everyone who is eligible to be registered and to vote in the fall. After November, it's time to think about becoming a candidate. So competitive elections build more accountable government. So continue to start. And Leah and Angelica have been involved at the grassroots of Radnor Township, and they know it makes a difference. And thank you, all of you, for tuning in today. We hope you've learned more about stress and its management from our students, and what they've told us today will also help us as adults. We trust you have also given you food for thought as you look for the future. Thank you so much, and hope to see you again.
Thank you.